Hi, this is Jim Feist in Las Vegas, and I got Hank Goldberg, and I should say hot Hank Goldberg, as he was 4-1 in the Westgate Contest yesterday, and he's in great position to bring down $1 million in that contest. And Hank has been doing great in college hoops, NFL. We got the bowl games coming up. Hank, good morning to you, and congratulations on another great week.
You know, it could have been better. My one loss yesterday was the Rams. They had a 4-point lead late in the game, and for some reason, and I think it was a coaching loss, they had to get cute, you know, and they had a strange formation that they came out in. And remember now, Wentz had gotten hurt, and so, you know, all they had to do was get a decent long possession in the game, and they could have put the game away. And instead, they had the ball on about the 30-yard line, and they went 3 and out well, they didn't go 3 and out. They actually turned the ball over, and it was a ridiculous turnover because they ran some gimmicky play where they ran a fake handoff, and the ball wound up in the hands of the quarterback, and he was going to throw a pass off the fake, and he held the ball too long, and they stripped the ball and wound up with the turnover and got the ball inside the 30 and went in to score the winning, the winning score and won the game by 2 points. It was a game they could have won. They had it in their hands and let it slip away. And, you know, this coach of theirs, he gets a lot of raves because he's done a great job, but he gets, the week before, he had a very odd 2-minute drill that cost him points, and he gets in the end of, he gets inside 5 minutes of the game, or in 5 minutes of a half, and he gets a little screwy. And that happened here. There was no reason for him to get cute. All he had to do was hand the ball to Gurley, who was killing the Philadelphia defense. Give the ball to Gurley. He's your bread and butter guy instead of fooling around with gimmick plays. I didn't get it. I was very annoyed with it, and it cost me a perfect day.
Yeah, sometimes we see, coaching moves and officials calling or not calling. That's there's a little bit of frustration every week, but it is what it is. It was a great day for football, though. It was. I loved.
Yeah, let's talk about the Philadelphia quarterback injury because it looks like they've lost their quarterback. He's getting an MRI today, but they're saying it could be ligament damage, and. But I think they're in good. I don't think they're in bad shape because I think the backup quarterback there could be starting for a lot of teams, and they've got enough. They've got a significant running game, and they've got they've got good guys around them, and I think they believe in him. And he came in there and they protected him well, and he threw some nice passes. And he hasn't played in a while, but remember a couple of years ago, I think he threw 29 touchdown passes when he had a chance to start. So he's had experience, and they've kept him around, and I think he can play.
Well, Foles can play. He is definitely a professional quarterback. I don't think he's Wentz. I think Wentz is special. Foles is a very good quarterback. But Philadelphia has got talent. Besides the quarterback position, they're a very talented football team across the board. And when you look at their division, Giants, Redskins, and Cowboys, they're better than all three of those teams, even without Wentz, providing, of course, that Ezekiel Elliott isn't playing. He's going to come back, of course, too. But that's a very good football team. They've got solid coaching, running game, They've made good moves with players, their line, their defense. The front seven is excellent. That's a good team. Wentz is a special player, and you're not going to replace him with another special player. There just aren't that many special players. But they have a good, solid backup. I mean, look what Minnesota's doing. They got their third-string quarterback, and they won 8 straight games, and they were playing their 5th road game in 6 weeks yesterday at Carolina, who was desperate for a win, and they just couldn't keep it together. I'm not taking any shine off them for that, because that's tough. That's a tough scheduling situation to play that many road games. And back to back, I mean, they had just beaten Atlanta the week before. Now you got to go to Carolina. Desperate team after desperate team. Eventually, you're going to slow down a little bit. And that's what happened. They made some mistakes, and Carolina played a pretty good football team, or played a good game. So there's going to be ups and downs. But Philadelphia's a solid club. This week they got to play the Giants. And just, I don't care. I don't know why all that movement on the Giants yesterday. The Giants haven't been good all year, whether it's Eli Manning or anybody else. Their offensive line sucks. Their running game sucks. Their wide receivers are all hurt. They're all out. They have coaching issues. They got front office issues. The Giant team is a shit show, and they're not going anywhere. I would guess Eli's last year in New York. Imagine that's the case.
But Wentz is out for the season. That's been confirmed.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So he has ACL torn, and so that's it for him for the year. That's a shame.
Yeah, but, it really is. We've lost a lot of good players this year. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah, look at Houston. I mean, Houston has totally collapsed. And yesterday they were beaten by San Francisco. But, getting back to Minnesota, with all of it, Keenum finally had some turnovers yesterday. I think he had 3 in the game. They were still tied late in the game. They could have won that game. So they're still a good team.
Minnesota.
Now they're going to have to play Green Bay probably with Rodgers. Looks like Rodgers is going to come back, because Green Bay almost lost to Cleveland. They had a 2-touchdown. They were down 2 touchdowns. Cleveland blew the game and wound up in overtime. And of course, Green Bay managed to squeak through.
Well, Cleveland does what Cleveland does. I mean, they've played some decent games. The first 3 quarters of their football games this year have actually been okay. But when they get into the fourth quarter, the last 10 minutes, last 8 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever it is, or overtime, they continually make mistakes. And Green Bay, they knew, and I was reading a lot of the Green Bay stuff all week, which is one of the reasons I tried to get a winner in there with the Packers, and I got it. I was lucky. But they really wanted to hold on for Aaron Rodgers to come back. And Rodgers is coming back this week. And they're going to play at Carolina. And they're a 2.5-point underdog right now. And that's with Aaron Rodgers. And that's a big difference. That's a big upgraded quarterback. You're going from average or less than average QB to probably the best quarterback in football. Now, granted, he's going to be a little rusty. He's had a lot of time off, but that's a real big game for both Carolina and Green Bay. That's going to be a hell of a game to watch. Minnesota, by the way, plays this week. They're a 10.5, 11-point favorite at home against Cincinnati. And after watching that yesterday with Cincinnati, I got to say, did they quit? Did they actually quit on the year? That was horrible.
Yeah, well, they haven't played that well. And I think Marvin Lewis is done. So, there's a lame duck coach and really nothing to play for right now.
That's true. Tonight we have a game that I find to be interesting, it's New England at Miami, and that's down in your neck of the woods. New England's 10.5, 11-point favorite, 48.5 is the total. New England is just happy with winning. I mean, and then of course next week they have a huge game at Pittsburgh in a game that's going to probably mean home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. That's a big element right there. So this game, you have to question, what is the intensity that New England has into this game other than winning? And, Miami,
Well,
I mean, you know more about Miami.
This is a classic sandwich game or look-ahead game for New England. And the only thing is that they're playing against a lousy Miami team. But they could come down here and just take a rest. Now, the weather is going to be very chilly, so it's not going to be a warm weather game. It's going to be probably in the high 40s when they finish playing that game. So the season will be cool down here. The Dolphins don't get a weather break.
No home field advantage as far as weather. New England likes playing in cold weather. That's going to be interesting to watch. We got a Thursday night game. We got Denver and Indianapolis. Denver woke up yesterday and played a decent game. I guess they were totally embarrassed the whole week and decided to play. Indianapolis played in that Snow Bowl up in Buffalo, which was fun to watch. They lose it in overtime. Then on Saturday, we have Saturday NFL this week, folks. We got Chicago with Detroit, and Detroit is 6.5 or 7-point favorite over Chicago. And the Chargers are at Kansas City, which is a huge game for those two teams. And Kansas City is a pick or -1 in that game. That is going to be a major game to watch on Saturday.
Well, that score was not indicative of the beating that Kansas City gave to Oakland. Oakland, though, their defense is really terrible. Kansas City had a 26-0 lead going into the fourth quarter, and they just they stopped. But they got the running back involved again, and he had a big game. He went over 100 yards. He's got 1,000 now. He went over 1,000 for the season, and it'll be interesting to see. Kansas City is relying more on its running game all of a sudden, which had disappeared for the course of their losing streak. And this is a game that the Chargers will be put to the test. They played a Washington game that was totally beat up on both sides of the ball, and Washington just didn't compete in that game. And, that game, Chargers got 30 points, and basically they stopped in that game. They could have probably won by more. So it'll be interesting. I don't think that Kansas City has given up. I think this is a game that probably means the division. I think whoever wins this game wins the division.
I would agree with that because Oakland's not coming back and taking this. Their defense is pathetic.
No, Oakland's toast.
So, Oakland's defense is so pathetic that Kansas City just ripped them apart yesterday. San Diego has a better defense. Not San Diego, excuse me. It's not the Chargers.
Oakland came into that game, as I told you on Friday, with one interception the whole year, and gave up 70% completions.
Wow.
I'll tell you, Kansas City had a field day against them for 3 quarters. And by the way, they were in the red zone the whole game. They had to settle for field goals 4 times.
Right. This is going to be a tougher game for them because the Chargers' defense is very solid. And that's going to be, the line. Kansas City won the game down in L.A. when they played the Chargers early in the season. And they were a 3-point favorite on the road. Now they're not even they're only a one or pick 'em game at home. So there's been a big momentum shift for these two teams. I mean, the Chargers are the hottest team in football right now. They've been winning, and Phillip Rivers looks great. Their defense is strong, and it's reflected in this point spread. This is a big adjustment because based on the line earlier in the year, 3 points favored by 3 points at the Chargers. This game should be much higher than this. Should be over a touchdown. So this has been a big move based on what's happened the last 6 games, and you need to adjust. So the adjustment is probably warranted. The question is it been adjusted too much? That's the question for all the handicappers out there.
I'll tell you, the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game was very interesting. Baltimore fell behind by 14 points early because Flacco threw a terrible interception after Baltimore had a good drive going early. But they came back in that game because they were able to run the ball against the Pittsburgh defense. Pittsburgh really missed Shazier, and they missed Hayden too. The Pittsburgh defense gave up, 38 points in this game to Baltimore, and Baltimore had open receivers for most of the game because their running game was so superior that Pittsburgh didn't have an answer. I think Pittsburgh's going to have a little bit of trouble against New England because if New England chooses to run the ball against them, Pittsburgh's going to have difficulty. They really are shorthanded on the defensive side of the ball right now.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, Baltimore's offense really, they missed Jimmy Smith terribly in that game because half of the 500-plus yardage that Fatface was able to achieve was to one receiver. They had no answer, for the top receiver, and I was amazed that they never double covered him. He was just, he was just a man coverage against one guy, and he was killing him.
Yeah, well, he's arguably the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in football, no question about that. So it's tough to manage him. This game, we went another big game that's going to be the NFC West. The Rams are going to be at Seattle. Seattle won the first game at LA, and they open a 1-point favorite or pick 'em right now against the Rams. Seattle was in position to come back and win that game yesterday against the very tough Jaguar defense and running game. And Bortles actually played a pretty good game for Jacksonville yesterday. But Seattle is tough at home. We all know that. And the odds makers are giving the Rams a lot of credit here for this one.
Well, I just think that they're underutilizing their best player in key situations, and I don't understand it. That coach, for all the accolades he gets, he doesn't appreciate Gurley at critical times in games. I know it sounds crazy to criticize him because their offense has been averaging 30 points a game, but they didn't, and they certainly had enough points on yesterday. But, Gurley is your bread and butter guy on that team. And when it's crunch time, you go to your bread and butter guy. And for some reason, he's reluctant to do it.
Well,
and I got to tell you something. Seattle's defense is not going to be able to stop him if they choose to use him properly.
that's going to be a war. That's for all the marbles. Right there. That's for all the marbles for those two teams. It means it's.
So that was a big opportunity yesterday for the Rams because Seattle lost. As I've been trying to tell you, Seattle does not travel well. They have not traveled well all year.
Well, they're a team you talk about injuries. I mean, they're a team that's lost a lot of.
They have weaknesses too. Their offensive line is not very good, and they can't run the ball.
Yeah, it's a one-man team. It's Russell Wilson. He's a magician, and he does it all. He does it. It's amazing, but they don't have a lot of complementary pieces around him. Baltimore plays at Cleveland. Baltimore's still in the mix. They're a 7.5 or 8.5 point favorite at Cleveland. I don't know if Cleveland will ever win a game or win a game this year. It's going to be very. I mean, they play tough, but I don't see them beating Baltimore. Baltimore needs this game. They need to keep pace. There's a lot of very interesting. Jimmy Garoppolo looks pretty good, and they won 2 games with him, and now they're going to host the Tennessee Titans, who I feel are very much overrated. I do not feel the Tennessee Titans are that good, and they continually disappoint. They've actually got San Francisco favored in this game, 1 or 2 point favorite.
Mariota got hurt a little bit in the game against Arizona, but Arizona beat them pretty good. In the second half, Arizona really took the game over. They were able to run effectively, and and the Tennessee defense kind of crumbled. But Mariota was good for a couple of picks again. He's just they have not been good on the road, and Mariota has not played well.
No, it doesn't look like he's developed into the quarterback that everybody thought initially he would. Just has not developed. You got Dallas still in the mix. They're a 2.5 or 3 point favorite at Oakland next week. Oakland, as we talked about, is not that strong. And Dallas, you can't give them too much credit off beating the Giants because the Giants don't have anything. But Dallas is still in the mix. They still have a shot to get to the playoffs. Ezekiel Elliott has been out, but
he'll be back the week after this. But I'll tell you something. The Giants' defense held their own for most of the game against Dallas. Dallas quarterback is not playing great right now, but it's not all his fault. Des Bryant dropped about 5 passes in this game. He's got to wake up. And Dallas' offensive line did not dominate the Giants' defense. But Dallas hung in, and finally the Giants' defense crumbled, from the pressure because their offense did nothing.
Right. Yeah, when the Giants have to host Philadelphia this week, Philly's a 9 point favorite in that game, and that will be with Foles at quarterback. And Philadelphia's far superior, even with Foles. They're a far superior football team, top to bottom. There's a lot of interesting games. Even the Monday night game has meaning. Atlanta at Tampa. Atlanta opens a 6 point favorite. It opened a 4 point favorite, actually, and it went up to 6, which means it might actually go higher. But Tampa has issues.
Well, this is a good time of year to pay attention to the injury reports because a lot of guys are mixed up. Atlanta's not a great football team right now. And part of it is the quarterback. He has not been playing great either. So we'll see where Atlanta goes. One thing that I want to point out is that Bobby Hurley and the job that he's done with the Arizona State basketball team. They beat Kansas at Kansas yesterday.
And
Atlanta, Arizona State's undefeated. I pointed it out on Friday's podcast, and they haven't let me down yet. And Duke lost to Boston College. Bobby Hurley, an old Duke point guard, is holding up his end.
Arizona State's been playing great. There's no question about it. And Bill Self, of course, does what Bill Self does. He has a lot of talent, but in a lot of cases he underperforms. And there was a lot of people all over Kansas yesterday. Not me. I was on the other side with you. It's just too many. A 12-point favorite in that game in some spots. And Arizona State, you're going to start paying a bigger price with them because people are waking up to the fact this team is really good.
You know, Duke lost to Boston College, and Boston College just was on fire with 3 points, with their 3-point shooting in the game. But you know, one thing about Duke is that if they're not hitting their outside shots, they're a little bit vulnerable. They've got, you know, a real good inside game. They can rebound, but they're still young. They've got, you know, one senior and a bunch of freshmen. And so they got behind in the game, and they just couldn't make it up.
Yeah, that happens. Hank, we're running pretty long today. I think we should tell the folks what we got going on. It's a slow Monday, but we do have a football game. We got very little basketball going on today, but there's a lot going on. We got bowls coming up. We got the hardwood every night, and we got the NFL coming up on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday this week. So, Hank, congratulations, like I said before, on a great week. And I think people should go out there and check out the website, jimfeist.com. We got great information, and you can pick up a lot of articles and podcasts and picks from Hank and myself. And thank you for tuning in. Thanks, Hank.
Okay, have a good day.
You too.